Welcome in to this edition of Coach's Corner. Even though we don't have a coach, we actually have the superintendent, but you can call him a coach of Ponca City Schools and what he does. Adam Leaming with us, and it's great to have you along here. As we're just going to talk, we try to do this once a year, just talk general Ponca City Public Schools.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Jordan, and looking forward to it. I am not a coach, but we have a few that work for us, and really dynamic coaches. So happy to talk about the schools.
But it is good for us to step away because the primary thing for these students, we want them to have a great time. Athletics are a part of that, but this is a big part of them too, the education and what Ponca City Public Schools has to offer. And there's a lot going on, as always.
There is a lot going on. We're blessed to have a community that supports all of our extracurriculars, but those extracurriculars wouldn't exist without our school district and what happens in those classrooms, and that's where the magic really happens each day. And I think that we're very blessed to have the staff and the teachers that we currently have, and I think that just builds upon our great extracurriculars that we have.
You know, one thing that we see each year with public schools, and we talk about this, and I'll bring this up every year, especially for the schools that are like Ponca City. I would throw Enid. I would throw some of the bigger schools, Guyman and the Panhandle, things like that. You're the 5A, 6A school and you have classification based on your numbers, but you're having to hire and hire constantly. So how is that process going as we get ready to start the year? And I would imagine there's always going to be voids that you got to fill, but at the same time, where are you guys at and how are you feeling about the hiring? And speaking of, new teachers are getting oriented right now.
So. Yeah. So right now we are right in a big onboarding season for back to school. We currently have upwards of 760 employees, and every year you're going to have some turnover. So even if you have 10% turnover, which we would love to have less than 10%, and that's 76 employees, right, that have to come in and it's new to our community. Happy to report, as of this, I'm going to steal Shelley's line, as of this 10 seconds, we have 44 new teachers going to join our ranks this year. Of those, 24, I believe, are from outside the Ponca City zip code.
Very nice.
Bringing in new folks into our community. We also have some changes with people going and taking other opportunities across the state or out of state. But in our high school, have a new administration. East Middle School has 2 new principals, and our Washington Pre-K has a new principal. So new folks to Ponca City.
And speaking of that, new principals. That's always, that's the teachers, yes, the onboarding for them, but for a principal, you're jumping right into the fire when you're onboarding, aren't you?
Absolutely. And I'm the most excited I've ever been about our high school administration this year. It's really neat to have Sean Tagliatella, who has been a longtime Ponca City Public Schools employee, former Pohai Wildcat himself, saw great success when he was a student athlete here. Went on to have a great college career and then came back and worked as a teacher, and now is going to have that opportunity to go from assistant principal up to the lead guy at the high school, kind of our flagship school in our district that serves 1,500 students every year. With him, though, he shaped a great team, and I think it speaks to what we're trying to do as a state, or as our position in the state of Oklahoma. He went and grabbed the Winfield High School principal to be an assistant principal with him, so out-of-state presence. We have experience from Moore Public Schools as an assistant principal. We have Yukon Public Schools coming in as an assistant principal, and I'm going to get the other one, Tulsa Central. So we have all this 6A experience coming into Ponca City, and it's being led by Tagliatella. So really cool opportunity, I think, for what we're going to see, some new dynamic shifts in our hip school.
Well, and that's one thing that's important. I think the hiring process, you want to make sure that you are, making it kind of an upward movement for people that are here, loyal, doing the right things. But you also want to bring in new ideas and new blood. So that's always something, as when you're hiring, I feel like you'd be looking for.
Yeah, and as a superintendent, I kind of view it as almost like a CEO, that you've got this balance that you want to make sure you have those opportunities for upward mobility for your internal hires and candidates, but you don't want to get a stagnant, same ideas, same things coming in. So I think you got to do that balance of how do we bring in new blood and new ideas to make sure that we're staying relevant and staying up to date with the newest trends.
Well, and speaking of bringing in new people, when you look, and this is something I thought about asking you and wanted to ask here today, in a university town, they call it town and gown.
Yeah.
The relationship between you and the city itself as a school, that's so important, and that becomes extremely important when you're trying to recruit people to this area.
Absolutely. And I some of our new hires that have come from out of town have already remarked how just this family feel in Ponca City. And it's not just related to Ponca City Public Schools, but how our business community led by the Chamber kind of wraps their arms around education. Our other government entities in this community that work so well alongside us, the City of Ponca City, Pioneer Technology Center, Northern Oklahoma College, University Center. We've got great workforce opportunities for our students that partner with our teachers to help make sure that they have places that they know that they can work when they finish either high school or college, to come back to Ponca City and be a vibrant citizen through economic development. So we have worked very hard to foster those relationships and to grow those, because I think it is making a big difference in, one, that our folks that are employed with Ponca City Public Schools feel connected to the community that they work in, and they see a bigger picture than what happens from 8 to 3:30 in this classroom. But then also that we're providing this service to our citizens, that they can see, wow, we're really connecting those pieces, and helping enhance opportunities for their children or their neighbors or the kids of our community.
So one thing you worked really hard on many years ago as operations manager was the bond. And we're at the point now we're seeing most of that come into fruition. We've seen the groundwork, we've seen the construction, but we're actually going to get to utilize some of those facilities.
Yeah, so I can't believe this. One of the promises I made to the community when I was first hired on was that if we pass this bond in October 21, by 2024, 90% of those projects will be finished and done. And if you look around, our concert hall classrooms are finished. And those kids are going to be utilizing that from August 1, day one. Our Phillips 66 STEM lab is done and finished. That $7 million project is going to have some awesome opportunities for our high school students. And in fact, I'd encourage our community to watch Monday night's board meeting, where our STEM director is going to come and report on some of the things we're going to get going this fall. With our new Wildcat esports team and robotics and some of the new opportunities there. Really exciting on that. And, baseball stadium, you can't drive down Fifth without seeing that amazing, beautiful facility. Softball girls are out playing. Their season gets ready to kick off here. And they're scrimmaging right now in that beautiful stadium that the community's supported. Our high school main office will be done. It is done. You come in there, that was a big remodel. To help improve the look and operations there at the high school. And all we have left now is that giant monstrosity north of Solon's. But man, it is going to be incredible when it is all finished. And that should be wrapped up here right around spring break and ready for spring sports. And that's it. We're done. We did it. Tennis facility will be done in February. So like I said, the community, 90% of these projects will be wrapped up in 24.
Well, that being said, you're always looking ahead. So, that's the thing. You're trying to be competitive, but also you're thinking what's best for the community, what's best for the students. And, once you wrap something up or something starts coming to wrap up, all of a sudden you have to go, okay, now we got this. Now where else can we get better? And I'm sure that's already going on, isn't it?
Absolutely. And so right now it's an internal discussion where we've just got a running document that says, we learned lessons on this project, that project, and then, what needs we're facing across the district for students, for our staff, what services our community would like us to explore further to enhance what we already have or create something new, a new opportunity. And we're always looking at what other communities, what is Stillwater's doing, Bartlesville's doing, and some of our neighboring 6As that I don't think it's fair to our students in Ponca City just to be at their level. I think we need to be the best and providing the best. And so far, our community has always responded super well about that. And I know our kids are grateful. I know our coaching staffs, our teachers are eternally grateful for what this community does to help make sure that we have top-notch facilities. And I think it speaks well for our community and the statewide fabric that when you go and visit these other communities for sporting events, right or wrong, you cast a judgment on their community whether or not they're supporting other schools based off how their facilities are looking. And for a while there, Ponca City was kind of we knew we could do better, and in October 21, 85% of us said let's do it, and I feel like we're upholding our end of the bargain to make sure that those things are happening for our kids.
Well, athletic events are really the big thing that brings other people from other communities in.
Right.
And that's the reason a lot of times they call it the front porch
Yep.
of a university, front porch of a high school, because it brings so many people in.
Oh, absolutely. And hope springs eternal around here. I mean, the optimism that's coming from our football program, softball, volleyball, cross country, our fall sports here are just, you can just feel it. There's a different energy this summer, and leading into the beginning days of school that it gives me goosebumps. Superintendent.
Well, one thing I want to get into now is I've talked to some people across the state, and there it seems like there's sometimes confusion with this, but there's a new law, and some of the parents out there may not be familiar with it. You, of course, have to get familiar with it really, really quick.
Yeah.
And it involves communication. And I understand the basis of you want to make sure the parents are involved
Right.
with what the teachers are communicating with students. But can you talk about this a little bit and explain it, and also talk about how Ponca City is going to be compliant with this, and how y'all read it, and how y'all feel like you need to address this?
Okay, so what Jordan's talking about is there was a new communication law passed from the state legislature that went into effect July 1st. Which, as citizens, you think, oh, that's fine. That gives schools plenty of time to get in compliance with this new law before school starts. But what really kind of magnified the issue is we have a lot of summer activities that go on with coaches with weight rooms or summer trainings, optional practices, opportunities like that. But basically the law prohibits one-to-one communication between a school employee and a school student. So with that comes some challenges that, we have a number of instances where, in good nature, good faith, that a coach changes practice or checks in on a student that may not have made it to, said I was going to be there but didn't show up, and the coach follows up. Those would all flag as against the law at that point. So we've had to do a lot of digital informing of our own staff that, do not communicate one-to-one with students, that can't message a student one-to-one, that all messages need to include the parent or guardian if at all possible. Or if you need to address a student, you need to address all your students in a group instead of just a one-to-one message. I think the law's intent is to aim for the protection of the school staff and the school student, to prevent any unsavory acts that might arise from a situation of a single communication. I think the law has good intent. What it does, though, is it does create a number of challenges for school administrators and questions for school staff, particularly our secondary staff that are very keen to getting a direct message from a student. That as a superintendent, I'm a dad first, and I have a senior this year, a freshman as well, and a kindergartner. But I've always told my high school student, if you're going to be gone that day, email your teacher, get the
Right.
homework assignments you missed, so you can make sure you get caught up on that. Well, this new law would prohibit a one-to-one message in that instance. So we've worked as a staff to educate our teachers. There is a provision in the law that if the district approves or your school board approves communication platforms, it will, cover the basis of allowing a one-to-one message as long as it's on a school-approved platform.
And that's the thing. There's software,
There is
and
software.
even more, and you have software companies coming in droves to Oklahoma because of this law now. So
Right.
I don't know if that's installed yet, if that's something you're looking at, but I mean,
We
let's talk
already
about
had a number of platforms we use that will help us keep a record of any conversation that's happening. The first thing that comes to mind is our school emails, and students have a Gmail account, our teachers have Gmail accounts, but the schools have a way to archive that message and be able to look into it. So students can still email their teachers or one-to-one and let them know. It's just what's really going to be a change for some of our student athletes, and I think some of our coaches is, hey, coach, I'm not going to make the practice. I'm going to fire off a quick message. Or I got sick. I'm not going to be there at the batting cages.
Well, and I don't even look at it as sports. I mean,
Yeah.
what about your esports, right?
Uh-huh.
Or your robotic team? Hey, I can't make it. I'm going to be
Yep.
late today. Or band. I mean, this encompasses
So-
activities in a big way. And I know there's even teachers sometimes that have relationships with kids, and the kid will be like, hey, I got a question about this, and now you have to really think.
Right.
And it's really on the teachers to really think and, in a way, protect themselves. Right?
Absolutely. So, really, the intent, what we're stressing to our teachers and our staff is parents should be included as much communication as possible. We want to make sure
Right.
that the parents are informed of what their child is doing or needs help on. But the reality is, and me speaking as a dad, I don't need to know what my kid's assignment was. They're a high school student; they should be able to take care of it. So we felt like there was a happy medium. Get some district-approved communication platforms. So we have GroupMe, Remind. These are software applications that we utilize. Our student Gmail, some other web-based applications that we've talked with the staff about, and I've already seen messages go out from our instrumental music program that went out
Right.
into our band students and orchestra students, and just different messages that said, hey, starting July 1, this is the way we're going to communicate. And that's been, I think, it's been well received in the community. I haven't had an issue or heard issues with it. I think there may be some growing pains as we get off August 21st with it, but I think so far my message to folks is this is change. Change can be a little difficult at times, but the intent on this is really to protect you, create some accountability. But the overall message is we should be communicating with the parents as much as possible.
Right. No, yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's just now it's there, and you're making sure you want to do it the right way.
Right way,
So,
yep.
and we talk about challenges too, and that can be the next question. What do you think are some of the bigger challenges? And I'm not just thinking with Ponca City. I'm thinking like with education, because I know you stay very involved with educators across the state, of course. So, what are some of the challenges you guys see that you're trying to maybe get ahead of in the coming year?
Well, I mean, there's a number of issues that I think the first thing that comes to my mind is the teacher shortage is real, and how Ponca City Public Schools is combating the teacher shortage. And I think it touches on what your original point, Jordan, is we can't exist in a vacuum and just say, come work at Ponca City Public Schools. It's come live in Ponca City, come be a part of our community. And that's where we've had business communities step up in a big way to help make sure that we are making the best place for people to come live and work here. I think our student outcomes can always be better, and we strive to improve our student academic performance at every level. And with that comes the need for great dynamic teachers. And the teacher shortage is really hamstringing, I think, some of our efforts to make certain that we get the best and the brightest to our community here. So there's a number, I could go off on a number of tangents on why I think there's a teacher shortage. I think anyone that is kind of familiar with the statewide landscape in education, or even just the nationwide landscape in a post-COVID world, that we have challenges, and we are, not the be-all, end-all for those answers. If people feel like they have better ideas that we're needing to explore, my number is out there. My office is right here, 613 East Grand. I'm happy to visit and talk and see what we can do to be a better school district.
There's problems, and the thing is, you're not in the problem. You're really in the solution business, right?
You're in the solution business. One of the big things that I'm emphasizing to our staff this year is, with so many new folks, new administration at high school, new administration at East, and new teachers across the district, that it's a back to basics year. We're just going to try to do the small things right. And then if we can get all those small things done right, then we can start turning our attention to getting back to these bigger goals that we need to get done. But we have a great board policy book. I mean, we some of the stuff that is kind of boring to talk about, but I mean, we're just taking a look at how are we enforcing dress code? How are we enforcing cell phones in classrooms?
And that's an ongoing change, because our idea 5 years ago even is different than what it is now,
Yeah,
right?
correct. So social community norms have changed and shifted. And I think what I've challenged our administration to look at is not to come at it from a punitive angle, but as how do we instill into our students that we're doing this to give you a competitive advantage. That when you dress for success, or if you are having your phone put down and engaged in meetings and paying attention, that you're going to see success. But that comes with us knowing what our students' goals are, what their individual wants, desires, likes, and helping us connect the dots to how school can help you get there. So there's a lot of work we've got to do internally, and that's the conversations we're having as a staff, and as we kind of shifted our attention this year to back to basics and doing those small things right.
I like it. And I think kind of the end here, I always like to talk about how you're doing, because I mean, it's one of those that you can say you're ready for it and really think, I'm going to be this is what I want to do. But once you're there, it's different, right?
Yeah.
So talk about how you're adapting to this role as superintendent of Ponca City Public Schools, what you have learned, and where you can even get better going forward.
Awesome. Okay. Well, so as I'm doing right now, I'll share with you and the public probably my most humbling moment as a superintendent in my first year. Can I do that?
Yeah.
I'll be real here. So I had a pre-K student last year, April, May, or May is just kind of, it's May. And we are buzzing along with the school year. But I think my pre-K student had developed senioritis already and did not want to go to school. And it became more of a negotiation each day. It was almost like a terrorist negotiation, like bribing and whatever. If you do good today and you go to school every day, we're going to get you a new toy or a reward or a treasure box deal or whatever. And my wife had a meeting that morning, so it was on Dad to drop his kid off. Superintendent and his pre-K kid to go off. And my patience may have been wearing a little thin end of the year, and with all the other extracurricular stuff happening and gearing up for graduation and this culmination of my first year. And then I was just thinking, I got to get this pre-K kid into the classroom. So I remember walking up to the front of school. He is sullen, upset with me. And I said, okay, there you go. All this pre-K parents are there, and all the kids are running into the building, and the staff's welcome. Come on in. We're really excited to have you. And he looks at me and he says, I hate school and I hate you. I was like, oh my gosh. So there's my humbling moment as superintendent. So I tell everyone that I was so thankful that there was warm, smiling staff folks at Washington Pre-K ready to welcome us.
Nobody camera phones out either.
No,
you're probably happy about that.
I was like, my face turned so red as I ran back to my car, and I had to apologize to the principal and the teachers that, yeah, I'm sorry. Even the superintendent's kid sometimes struggles with wanting to go to school. But, I learned a lot from that, and that once, I separated the personal side of it, I was so thankful to have know that there was great teachers there that were welcoming and know that what a 4-year-old's thinking and going through, that we are the constant in their life, that we have a greater purpose, and that's to help kids feel safe, welcomed, and once we get that done, then it's that connecting them to seeing a bigger picture.
Well, and on that, every kid's individual story is different,
yeah,
right? And how they think, and I think that's a learning thing. Is like everybody's different, but you want to affect positively every kid.
Yeah, so the superintendent is not perfect, and his children they're lovely, lovely human beings, but sometimes they do drive me a little crazy. But I'm very, like I said, I'm very excited about the start of school. I don't know if there's anyone that's more excited than me when August rolls around. I think there's the two most favorite parts of the school year, three, is the start of school, coming back at New Year's and all the New Year's resolutions, and graduation. I think I cried a little bit at graduation, just like, wow, just this was what it means, and watching these young adults walk across the stage with a diploma. So lots of stepping back. There's a lot of nuance, negativity in different pockets, but when you step back and see the bigger picture of what we're doing, serving 4,500 or 4,700 students in this community, man, what a great opportunity.
And that may be the very last thing. Everything leads to another thing, I think, when we talk. But there's always going to be negativity no matter what.
Yep.
How is that? And that's not just that's coaches, that's kids, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's negativity. Is that something you have to learn to kind of put in a separate area? You want to learn and you want to take people's criticisms and make things better, but is that something that you feel like you kind of have to shade yourself a little bit, because you're always going to have a little bit of that?
I think, Jordan. In fact, my own personal journey, just from my last year, I had to step away from social media because I just felt like it became an echo chamber of negativity. And I mean, it's not any one person's fault. I just think the way the platforms are built with the algorithm, that I think they're intended to help spread negative, or negativity gains traction, and traction gains hits and likes.
I put it like this, if you're scrolling down, when you stop on something, it shows that you've stopped for that second or 2 seconds. So I stop all the time and go, what'd they say? And then all of a sudden the algorithm says, oh, you like that. No, I don't like that. I'm just trying to figure out what they were saying. So I understand that. Yeah.
So but I got to realize, what I read and what I was seeing and hearing were two different things. So what I was reading online didn't coincide with what I was witnessing in our classrooms, in our buildings, on our student spaces. And we are not immune from feedback. We love feedback. Sometimes it can be hard to take feedback, but I've never been the one to say, no, we're not open to it. If it comes in a professional manner, that we want to grow, we want to improve, and that's something we really stress to our pupils. We're a service to this community, and those children are our community's most precious resource, and so they deserve the absolute best, and we deserve to be the absolute best for those kids. But that negative social media, if you can step away from it and kind of see the bigger picture of, wow, we are in our community are kind of very fortunate to have. We got driver's ed kicked off this summer for the first time since early 2000s back in this community. Got a STEM robotics lab, a $1 million donation from a corporate partner. We're going to have summer offerings in that space at the beginning of this upcoming school year. We've got a state-of-the-art concert hall with probably the best in Oklahoma, honestly, in Ponca City. Each of our elementary schools are beautiful inside and out. We are doing our absolute best to do, because our kids deserve the best. So there's a lot of positive stuff happening. And I'm excited for football and excited for our fall sports and getting those kids out there and competing and watching the Wildcats excel this year.
I can tell you're excited. I can also tell you it's a great idea to quit social media on an election year.
Yes. So. I was just commenting the other day to my wife. I was like, this has been the most peaceful presidential election I can remember in the last 10 years.
Well, hey, I really appreciate the time. And it's always good to sit down with you each year and do this. We'll probably talk to you up in the booth during a football game.
Oh, I'd love that, Jordan.
I can tell you're excited, and you keep on doing the good work, and hopefully everybody sees the benefits right here at Ponca City.
Well, go Cats. I appreciate it.
That'll do it. Adam Leaming with us, Superintendent of Ponca City Public Schools. Thanks to Chris behind the camera. Until next time, Jordan Woodruff saying so long, and go Cats.